This is Coach Lee, and we're working on speech anxiety and forms. We're talking to Parth from India. Say hello, Parth.
Hello, everyone.
And Parth is a medical doctor and a neurologist who stuttered since age 13, which is roughly when I started. And he said that he appears disabled in about a third of his conversations and up to 70% of his words, and that it was the worst with authorities on phone and then in class. All that is, I want to say, fairly typical. Would put him somewhere in the middle range of stutterers, in my experience. And I have a lot of experience because I've done about 10,000 sessions from 2016 to date with several hundred stutterers from almost every country you can imagine. So in any event, we started talking, it looks like in May, and he hadn't had his last bad incident, appearing speech disabled, clearly speech disabled. It's not every time we make a mistake, it doesn't mean that the world thinks that we're a stutterer. It just means we're human and everybody makes mistakes. So it's very important. There's a difference between not being able to communicate. Somebody says, "What is your name?" to me, and I go, "It's Lee, love it." That's disabled. And I know it, and I'm humiliated. And that's the test. Was I humiliated? Absolutely. And that's a bad incident. Anything shy of it, if someone says, "What's my name?" and I go, Lee, love it. That's not humiliating, because everybody does that. So we cannot grade ourselves into a pit from which we cannot extricate ourselves. So a bad incident means humiliated. Can you remember when you had your last humiliatingly bad incident?
Not after the last time we talked.
Okay, so it's the last bad, so it's over a month now. All right, now let's talk about uncomfortable incidents. Can you remember your last where you felt, considerable pressure? I mean, everybody's a little uncomfortable with talking to some people. That doesn't mean you're a stutterer, but stuttering related discomfort as uncomfortable. Would you remember your last one of those?
That was same, I think 1 month back only.
Hey, all right. Now, when you're speaking to authorities
No, I'm
on the
speaking
phone,
with full confidence now.
okay, so are you thinking words before you say them and planning words, or are you
No,
just speaking?
I don't think about them.
All right, I would say, all right, and that's second base. First base is no bad in a month. Second base is not thinking words, and third base is bigger. It's loving, really enjoying speaking under pressure. In other words, I enjoy speaking under pressure. You know why? Because I speak better under pressure than any other time. I use crutch 11. I try my best to speak like a king when I'm under pressure. And I generally speak much better than I do when I'm not trying to do that. Okay, so are you able to say you are enjoying speaking under pressure?
Yes, actually I have started enjoying speaking under pressure. See, Coach Lee, can I say two, three sentences? Matlab, what I've realized over the last few weeks.
Yes, you may.
I can definitely recollect lots and lots of people who stammer normally.
Many fluent speakers stutter, but that's not fear driven. And
Correct.
they're never at risk of wiping out and being unable to communicate.
Right, right.
But when it's fear driven and they get started, they can go off the cliff and shut down, and they're incapable of communicating at any normal level. So I hear what you're saying, and I think it's true. It's very difficult. Anyone who makes mistakes, I think I've talked to so many stutterers. I think it'd be very difficult for anyone who's a stutterer to fool me. But I'm not saying it's impossible, but it wouldn't be easy. But I hear what you're saying, and I think that's true.
What my
And
point is, Coach Lee, that one of the biggest fear that I had in my mind was that I am one of the few people who stammer, but this is actually not the true. There are lots and lots of people who speak fluently and they tend to stammer in some of their words and some of their sentences. So I tend to gain confidence from having a word with them, and I feel pretty much normal that I can speak my heart out.
I think I want to say to you that to go to the other extreme, I've I have known many people uh, who stutter who stutter enough in their judgment that they think about suicide. They can't uh, do a job interview. They can't get a job. They can't hold a job if they get one. They can't get a partner. They can't really form relationships at any level because people don't want to sit there while they take 10 minutes to say, I'll have a hamburger. They don't want to deal with it. So these people, they're desperate, and that's the other extreme. You were never that bad. I think I was that bad when I stuttered. I didn't stutter everywhere. So it was situational, but when I did stutter, it was really that bad. I mean, I couldn't function in the normal world when I was under maximum pressure. And those are the people that need this program the most. But I hear what you're saying, and you qualify at this point to post definitely to post a Stop Stuttering Story. Now, because of your situation, your position and everything, you can do it under a different name and not have a picture or something if you want. I mean, I don't care. I am proud of the fact that I stuttered and that I beat it. I am definitely proud of it. I'm not proud to have stuttered. I'm proud to have beaten it. And I'm happy to help other people. And by letting people know that I was one of them helps them deal with their problem. So, I will confess, in great detail, my situation. And your willingness to join on this book is so important because just, no matter if all you do is put a stamp of, okay, I agree with this, if that's all that you did, but your name on it as you're subscribing to what we do, and you're going to read every word of it and say, I do or I don't. But I believe you'll say, I do. And when you're able to say that, the fact that because of your background as an MD, and most importantly, as a neurologist, it's going to help, in my opinion, millions of people. the only other person I have who potentially could help us as much is still a medical student at Stanford, but he has he has a BS in neuroscience from MIT, and he's now a pre-med student, and he loves us, and he is totally supportive of our program. He wants to write, research paper and put his name on it and so forth because he believes so much in our program. In any event, that's what's going on there. So I would like to post a Stop Stuttering story on you in our Speech Hall of Fame on Speech Anxiety Anonymous, and put a short version of it on WSSA. Would you write it, let me edit it, or would you like me to try and write something and you edit it? I know you're very busy. I just want to make it easy for you to help us.
I would like to write it for you, for the group. And may I know how many words or how many paragraphs do you want?
I'll give you the same answer that my philosophy professor gave us when we said, Professor Ford, how long should our essay be? And he said, as long as a woman's skirt. And we said, how long is that, sir? Well, it's long enough to cover the subject matter, but short enough to be interesting. You love that?
Wonderful. That is the wonderful thing.
We have Stop Stuttering stories that are this long, and we have them that go on for 10 pages. The length is irrelevant. I think the more that you can say to explain your difficulties, the more detail you go into there, the more helpful the story will be, because the more people who've had very similar difficulties will identify with your story. If you don't give those details, your story won't mean as much. So there are two things you need to do. One is explain in detail, tearfully somewhat. I mean, my MD from Pakistan, if you read Fahad, if you read his Stop Stuttering story, if you don't cry, I'll think you're not human. It's pathetic. His story is absolutely pathetic. And he stuttered terribly, much, much worse than you or I ever dreamed of. And he beat it. And he married a beautiful woman. He sent me pictures of his wedding group and all that in their costumes. They look wonderful. And he's a handsome guy, and his wife looks like she could be a movie star anywhere. And it's a wonderful, happy story. But he explains how at school they made him talk to the class, and they made him address the entire student body like once a week for 12 years. And every time he did it, he stuttered worse. And they thought they were helping him, and they were practically killing this guy. And it's just something to believe. And I remember him telling me now when he calls people on the phone and he says, this is Fahad, and they say, no, it isn't. I know Fahad. He doesn't talk like you. He said, yes, this is Fahad. No. And I got a couple other doctors out of Pakistan as a result of that, as a result of him. But he's, in any event, his story is, it's on SAA, it's one of the top stories.
One of the biggest lesson that you taught me in the last few sessions is that even if you stammer for a while, for a word, that doesn't humiliate you, that should not lower down your confidence.
Exactly.
That doesn't make you inferior at all.
Right.
And you should not think about it while communicating further.
Exactly.
So this is what I have installed in my mind, and this is what has actually tremendously improved my confidence in speech.
I love hearing that, and you should say this in your we call it Stop Stuttering Story, SSS. It's not a success story; it's a Stop Stuttering story. Success could be anything. Success could be, I'm happier being a stutterer now. Well, I'm not happy. if you're stuttering, I'm not happy. And I don't accept it. I can't accept it. I've only had one person that stayed with me that I couldn't get over the hump. And he's a medical doctor as well. And I'm still working with this guy. And he's from Tunisia. But he says he stutters worse with me than with anybody else. And so we don't talk much. And I have so many people coming to me for help. I'm buried. I'm up to here, with people and our program. And so I help whom I can. This one guy I would like to help more, but he's, stuttering Parth is holding back. It's holding back your words. It's holding back your feelings. It's holding back your ideas. It's a fear of really of life and other people, and it goes back to the fear, fight, or flight syndrome, from the jungles, and that's what we're fighting, and so we this guy, this medical doctor who still has a problem, I can't even get him to sing. If he would sing what he says, I could get him talking, singing that fast, and we could then dial it down until it's less singing, until finally it's nothing more than voice modulation, as I am doing now, and it sounds quite normal, blah, 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 blah. But I can't even get him to sing. He is, most stutterers can sing without stuttering, and I can't even get this guy to sing, and that's been so hard. When he took the medical boards, they weren't going to allow him. I said to him, his name is Usama, and I said to him, Usama, you got to take a board this is oral medical boards. I said, you got to take a blackboard or a sheet or something in there, and you got to write what you want to say. And then as you write it, try to say it. If you can't, whisper it. And if you can't whisper it, mouth it, but write it on the board. He said, they won't let me do that. And I said, well, how about if I wrote and explained to your situation to them, and you presented that and asked them for permission to do this during your oral exams? And he said, would you write that? And I said, absolutely. So I wrote this paper about him, and he presented it to his board of people in Tunisia, and they accepted it, and they allowed him to do this, and he passed. He's an MD now. He's working in a hospital. So, but he's unfinished business to me. He worries me, and I wanna get to the bottom of his problem before I leave this planet. Sooner the better. But in any event, it's kind of ironic the number of medical doctors that have come to me. I don't know, and lawyers too. I got a lot of and I got PhDs in psychology. I got several of those, and it's been wonderful. I'm so grateful that you contacted us, because you can help just by doing what you've done and being a co-author. You can help so many people. I'm not kidding you, because this book, it's basically telling people in a few words, as few as I can write it, how to help somebody beat it. It's different to say my other books say, here's how I beat it and here's how you can beat it. But this book that you and I and Marissa are doing says to the reader, okay, you are a therapist, whether you're a speech language pathologist, a psychiatrist, psychologist, or simply a parent or a school teacher trying to help some poor stutterer. Here's a short book, a short course book, that's going to end up being look more like this book, than this book, and so people will read it, And and so I think it's, what we're fighting a medical community, as you know, that says stuttering is incurable and must be accepted. And we don't claim, I've said throughout the book over and over, we do not claim to have a 100% cure for stuttering. We do claim that our methods will enable most, in our experience, some 90%, to stop stuttering and to live seamlessly in the fluent world. Do they stutter on occasion? They may. Do they have fear? Probably, at least for a while. I had it for 10 years, but it eventually died. And like in your case, the next step for you, in my opinion, is to master crutch 11, speaking like a king. Slow down your speech. Use extreme pronunciation. Be passionate about what you have to say. Say it like you mean it. And smile while you do it. And stop. Insert stops. Because stops bring people to us. They listen more intently to what we have to say. Right. And if someone interrupts us, we don't care. We'll get the speech floor back. And when we do, we'll make better use of it than most. You and I, the game of life is not Parth versus the world. The game of life is Parth versus Parth. And when Parth conquers Parth, he will win the game of life. I'm still trying to conquer Lee versus Lee, and I've accomplished it in some areas, and I'm working on it in others, and I'll never stop. But I do better all the time. My health may not be quite as good as it used to be, but I'm still a happy camper, and I'm still getting a lot of things done every single day. So that's our message. It's a holistic message. Yes, we got to hear fluency. Yes, we've got to do mind training. Heaven knows. As I told you, I pay my grandchildren to do mind training twice daily, every month. And I talk to them and I wire them a certain amount of money, provided they tell me that they've done this. And every one of them would tell you or me or anyone, my life is so much better since I started doing mind training. It's so much better.
I am actually grateful for the day that I found you on internet. I was actually very frustrated that day, and I was just Googling anything that could come up that would heal my stammering. And I'm actually really grateful that I found you and your program. And it has actually helped me a lot. And you pushed me a lot because I was really inconsistent in the initial few weeks. I was not regular. I was not very persistent with my sessions, but you keep on pushing me, and that I really admire. I really salute you for that.
Well, thank you so much. Look, I think everybody's worth saving, and I think you're more worth saving than most.
Everyone is worth saving, sir.
I'm gonna do my best, whatever it is I can do. And saving to me has nothing to do with theism or deism. It just has to do with personal achievements. It's all about being the best we can be. When you and I are the best we can be, we will be happy campers, and we will succeed at many things. Maybe not everything we want, but we'll succeed at many things. Well, listen, it's wonderful seeing you again. And look, if you ever want to just say, hey, I need to talk to you, like, can we do it today or tomorrow for some reason, concerning the book or otherwise, I mean, I'm gonna really shuffle some things to accommodate you, because your role is very important, and you're on a time zone that's extremely difficult for both of us. to get together. So I'm going to do my best to accommodate anything you want. I'm going to try my best.
Great. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Well, listen, I guess that I don't have anything else today. Do you?
Done, Coach Lee.
So we
Let
will
us meet
say,
for one week.
I'll see you next week, same time, same day, same time.
Great.
Thanks so much, Parth.
Thank you.
Take care, mate.
Thank you.